Midnight Drearies.
The arcade had been in the mall for as long as anyone could remember. It had been a popular hangout spot for teenagers and families alike. But as the mall began to decline, so too did the arcade. The machines were outdated, the cabinet stickers were peeling, and the marquee lights flickered incessantly. But there was something else that made the arcade an unwelcome place to be. Whispers of strange happenings began to circulate amongst the few patrons that still visited the mall. Some said they heard voices coming from the machines, while others claimed they felt a cold presence that seemed to follow them throughout the arcade. Despite these rumors, a group of teenagers decided to spend their Saturday night in the arcade. They were looking for some cheap thrills and didn't believe the stories they had heard. As soon as they entered the arcade, they felt a strange energy in the air. The flickering lights cast eerie shadows on the walls, and the machines seemed to be staring back at them with lifeless eyes. As they began to play the games, they noticed that the machines were behaving oddly. Scores were changing on their own, and games seemed to be starting and stopping at random. But the real terror began when they heard the voices. At first, they were barely audible whispers, but as the night went on, they grew louder and more distinct. The teenagers tried to ignore them, but they soon realized that the voices were coming from inside the machines. They tried to leave the arcade, but the doors were locked. The teenagers were trapped, and they soon realized that they were not alone in the arcade. The ghosts of former arcade patrons had taken up residence inside the machines. They were angry and vengeful, and they wanted revenge on those who had abandoned the arcade and left it to decay. The teenagers were terrified as they watched the spirits emerge from the machines. At first they seemed cartoonish, like the ghosts from Pacman, but soon turned gruesome and twisted, with contorted faces and glowing eyes. They attacked the teenagers, dragging them into the machines and trapping them inside. The screams of the teenagers echoed through the arcade, but no one heard them. The few remaining places in the food court were already closed, the mall was empty, and no one would come to their rescue. Game over.